Oh, I'll never say that. Anyways. Hey everyone, welcome to today's podcast. We're talking about turning your weight loss journey into a personal development journey. And this is one of the biggest changes you can make in how you're approaching your weight loss that not only is going to get you better results, I believe, but it's going to make the whole process a lot more enjoyable. If you just focus on weight loss, I think you're going to be disappointed because the weight loss in and of itself does not make everything amazing, and especially if the way you're losing weight is something that you hate doing. Right. So if you hate tracking calories or cutting out carbs or whatever you're doing to lose the weight, if you hate doing it, just becoming thin is not going to override all that. So I think what we want to do right from the beginning is reframe this whole process. And by doing so, one of the best things that happens is you start to give the whole thing more meaning, because just losing weight is almost never enough motivation. If it was, you would have never put the weight back on, because I know that you've lost weight multiple times. And so if everything being at the goal weight was so incredible, then why didn't you stay there? So there's got to be more to it than this, so that we can't just assume just because I lose the weight, I'm going to be happier, I'm going to be healthier, I'm going to be more successful, I'm going to be more social, I'm going to have better relationships, because that has nothing to do with your weight, really. So when we make this about personal development, all of a sudden everything becomes more meaningful, because it's not just about aiming for a number on a scale or a size of clothes. It becomes about being the best version of yourself possible. And it takes a lot of effort to lose weight. So why not use that effort to make yourself the best version of you that you can possibly be? And as soon as we frame this process that way, it starts to become a lot more meaningful, because now when you look at your life, whatever is important to you, whether it's your relationships that are most important to you, whether it's your work, whether it's your, going on adventures, traveling, getting better at things, whatever matters to you in your life, your weight is directly impacting those things. And not because of how you look, but because your weight's a reflection of how you're eating and living. And so if you're overweight, if you're dealing with obesity, there's a good chance that you are low energy, that your brain's a little foggy, that emotionally you're kind of down, that mentally you're kind of negative in your head. Hormonally, you might be off, right? Physically, you might be uncomfortable. Health-wise, you might have to be dealing with some negative numbers that you're worried about. So it becomes a way of being that is less than ideal. And in that way, you can't be the best person you want to be. You can't achieve all the things that you truly want to achieve. Again, not because you look a certain way, but because you're living a certain way, because you've become a certain way because of that. And so this process, again, is about becoming the best version of you possible. One piece of that is living at your goal weight, but it's wrapped in more meaning when we look at it this way. And all of a sudden, the most amazing thing happens when you do this is you start to feel more motivation, because we intrinsically don't have a lot of motivation to lose weight. If anything, it's the opposite. We evolved in a food scarce environment where really what we're motivated to do is to eat food and pack on extra calories, because our brain and body still think we're in a food scarce environment and we're worried we're not going to have food tomorrow. So that's a hard thing to just fight against as your main motivation. But when all of a sudden you start focusing on becoming the best version of yourself possible, well, now there is a lot of intrinsic motivation there. This starts to focus on our survival. We have a survival instinct, a success instinct, a thriving instinct that is hardwired into us. And so when we reframe this process, we give it more meaning and we tap into more motivation. So I urge you to strongly, please, if you want to lose weight, make this a bigger process. Make it about more than just the scale number, and make it about being the best version of yourself possible. And I think you'll find that not only does it get you better results, but it's more enjoyable along the way. So I hope this helps you out. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them. We get into them. I don't know if any questions were asked. Hard to see when I'm yapping away. But if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them. All right. So you could be the first person to ask a question today. It was get my settings all right. I've been in a technical vortex of a technical hell vortex the last week and a half, I would say. Everything technologically that can go wrong has been going wrong. And it has been It's been something else. So I see holistic says how. How what? I don't know. Give an example. I would love to give an example, but what specifically? Um, example my tech hell. You don't care about my tech hell. How an example of how to make this more meaningful? To get a little more specific, I could answer that for you. Phoebe Rojas says, "Hi Jim. Once we reach our goal, how can we maintain it for life?" That's a great question. That's the right question, in my opinion, because so few people think about that ahead of time. And I'm obsessed with that question because clearly people know how to lose weight, but how do you keep it off forever? Right? That's the big question. And so if you don't know me, what I always say is you really want to shift your goal from wanting to lose weight to wanting to live at your goal weight. And so on day one, we got to be fixated on the ultimate goal, which is to live at your goal weight, not just to lose weight. Because if you think just the weight loss is the thing, then it's almost guaranteed you're going to do unsustainable things, extreme things to lose the weight quickly, because that's the focus, right? Just getting to your goal weight. But my goal is for you to live at your goal weight, and that requires completely different strategies. You're most likely not going to live at your goal weight doing keto, doing Weight Watchers, tracking calories. Sorry, but you're probably not going to live at your goal weight. I'm not arguing that it could help you get to your goal weight, but I bet you can't keep it up long term. That's the problem with strict diet. So how do we live at our goal weight for the rest of our lives? Right? We start with that question. And I want to be clear, I can't answer that whole question now because it's up to you to answer it. I know how to live at my goal weight now. At least I feel very, very confident that I will be at my goal weight for the rest of my life. Why do I feel so confident? Because I follow the weight mastery pyramid and it's customized to me, a mindset piece, lifestyle piece, and eating piece, all designed around me. And so my mindset is rock solid. I feel really good about living the lifestyle that I love living, that sets me up to be able to eat the way that I love eating, that keeps me at my goal weight. So I hope that makes sense. So that's what I think you have to do to live at your goal weight is you need to figure out how to think like a thin and healthy person, how to live like a thin and healthy person, and how to eat like a thin and healthy person. Now, how I do that versus how you do that are going to be different. But the structures underneath that main idea of breaking it down to mindset, lifestyle, eating, which is kind of unique. You know, a lot of people aren't talking about this. Most people, what are they doing? They're just focused on the eating piece and they're forcing themselves to do it through willpower. So when you have a more holistic, comprehensive approach to mastering your weight, I think it sets you up to be able to live at your goal weight forever. And so that's where I feel like I'm at. So you need a more robust plan. Without going into every detail of it, go to my bio, click the link, get the hypnosis session I give you. It's called The New Thin Me. It's free. And watch the video I made, though. That's the key thing, because it's called The 3 Steps to Master Your Weight is the training. And that will answer that question in a much more detailed way. Okay. But it starts with the question. You're right on the right track here. The question starts on day one, not how can I lose the weight as quick as possible? How can I live at my goal weight for the rest of my life on near autopilot? That's what you really want. And as you get fixated on that question, you will start to reveal the strategies to make that a reality for you. But you have not been asking that question. And that's why I haven't gotten those results. What's up, Joy? It says how to make weight loss a self-improvement project. Can you give an example? Oh, yeah, for sure. So how you make weight loss a self-improvement project is you really reframe the whole process right from the beginning. So it's not just about, a lot of people right there, I just want to lose the weight. I just want to lose X amount of pounds. Well, that's it. That's just what you want. You want to take all this effort and put it into changing your eating, how you're living, just so you can lose weight. Why not become the person you want to be? So we give it more, it's a more robust goal, which hopefully sometimes adding more to a goal makes it more overwhelming. But in this sense, it actually makes it more inspiring a lot of times. Because again, I can't tell you guys enough. I know almost all of you have lost weight at some point and then put it back on multiple times. So you've got to realize in your head that just losing the weight is not enough motivation to live at that weight forever. We need more. And so what I like to do, if you want to make this about, give an example of how to make this a self-improvement project. What is something in your life you'd like to improve? Right? Beyond just the weight and the health piece of it. What in your life? Again, it's usually relationship based, right? The relationships usually are the driving force of human beings. And so there's probably some relationships in your life that you want to be better, or you want to make more money and be more successful in your work is another huge one. Or you've got some hobby or focus in your life that you want to get better at. So again, it starts with what do you want to improve in your life? What's important to you that you would like to have be better? And let's just say, for example, we want our relationship, our marriage. Let's just pick something out of the blue. We want a marriage relationship to be better. Okay. So what happens is we start looking at this as, if I felt better about myself, if I was more calm and relaxed, if I was more grounded in who I wanted to be, if I was sleeping better and had more energy and more clarity of mind, if I was nourishing my body and feeling more alive and happier about myself, if the weight started coming off, so I started to feel more confident and attractive and healthier, all of these things go towards helping the relationship as well. They don't make it better automatically, but they set you up to have a better relationship if that's your goal. And so what happens is we're taking our weight loss and wrapping it in personal development. So now we make this a process, not just about, I just want to lose weight. Now we say, you know what? I want to thrive in life and I want to have a wonderful marriage. I want to have a wonderful relationship. And for me to have the best relationship possible, I've got to be closer to being my best. And for me to be at my best, I need to think this way, live this way, eat this way. Okay. So it's a framing process where now we start to give it more meaning, because I'm not eating better to lose weight. I'm eating better so that my marriage improves and I feel better and everything else related to that gets better. So I hope that helps kind of explain that. And I think doing that, again, is very, very powerful, because most people that are overweight don't want to lose the weight. Like it's not that you don't want to lose the weight. You really do want to lose the weight. You're not going to like this, but you weigh what you want to weigh subconsciously. It's not that you don't want to lose the weight, but you want to lose the weight, but you want to eat and live the way you're eating and living now more. You want that more. Usually that's the case. I have never personally run into, yeah, she's feeling good about yourself, losing weight affects everything. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Give this more meaning. See, in our culture, you've been exposed to millions of diet ads. Every diet ad is the before and after picture. And what that does is it subconsciously conditions you to think about weight loss in superficial terms. You want to lose weight to look better. That is not enough motivation. I know you think it is, but it's not, based on the results you're probably getting. And you're wondering, you think, nothing I can do. No matter what I do, I can't lose weight. I've never seen that to be true with the clients I've worked with, because every time we get really crystal clear on what they want and we boost the motivation up and we refine the strategies, they always lose weight. So again, I'm not saying, I guess maybe there's some people out there that no matter what they do, they can't lose weight. I don't know how that would be possible, but so anyways, I think it's all about motivation. And once you get your motivation at the proper levels, weight loss becomes a whole different story. And I feel like most people, it's not that they can't lose weight, it's that they literally don't want to lose weight. You wish you'd lose weight, but you don't really want to. Is walking daily a good way to start to become healthier? Yeah, I think that's a wonderful, wonderful way to start to become healthier. I think walking is one of the best because, again, you have to expand your mindset here and look at it in a more holistic way. So, walking, it's not burning as many calories as other things, perhaps, but I want to get you out of that mindset. It's not just about the calories. It's about the overall effect that walking can have on you. So while walking may not burn as many calories, it's easy to do. You get outside, you're in nature, you're breathing more, you're moving your body, and it makes you feel better, makes you feel healthier. And feeling better, feeling healthier tends to lead you to make better health choices. It encourages healthier lifestyle decisions. So when we look at the full picture, I think it sets you up to choose healthier options, because what most people do is they go to the most extreme option they think is going to burn the most calories the fastest. And but again, it's if they really are honest with themselves, also it's not going to last long, most likely. So what we want to do is we want to look at the big picture and not just look at like what's going to burn the most calories, but what's going to set us up holistically, comprehensively for the best results possible. And I think if you start looking at it that way, again, you find much easier strategies to succeed with, rather than the ones most people try, which are way overwhelming for them, So yeah, I love walking. I think walking is one of the best to start off with, no doubt. Yeah. Don says yes. Yeah, walking's a good one. I love walking. I've just kind of got walking again. Went to my dog for the walk for the first time since winter. I'm up here in Massachusetts. So yeah, when it's all icy and cold and snowy out, I'm not a big fan of walking in the morning, but it's kind of chilling out with all that. So it's nice. I love how you talked about making weight loss a game ideas. Yeah, but again, at first, it's always like a mindset thing with me. You know what I mean? So that, yes, there's specific examples I could give you, but it's really like I internalize weight mastery as a game. And it's no different for me. The way I think about weight is the same that I think about yoga, meditation, guitar, yoga, my business. I look at all of it as a game where I'm looking to get better and better and better at it. I have a long-term time frame, so I'm not in a rush, and I'm looking to just get better and better and better and better at it. So right off the bat, I think of it as a game that way. And I also recognize that I want to make it fun. I want to look at this like a puzzle, like a specific type of game is, I think, like a puzzle. I'm working to figure this whole thing out. What works for me? So I look at things very strategically in that way, like a puzzle. Like if I want to get my eating in line the way that I want it to be, I don't just look at the eating. I also take into account, again, I go back to the weight mastery pyramid, eating at the top, lifestyle underneath it, mindset underneath that. And so, of course, what's affecting your weight most is the eating. But what's affecting your eating most is your lifestyle mindset. And those are the parts that most people just ignore or don't even pay attention to. So when my eating isn't right the way I want it to be, I have the ability to look at the lifestyle and the mindset pieces and tweak and play with it and optimize it and see what effect that has. And so it feels like a game to me. That's how I approach it. I'm not all serious and thinking I know what to do. See, when you play a game, any game, let's think of any game. I mean, you could play chess. Let's just say you want to play chess. And even if you're not good at chess or whatever, you get the idea that it's something you learn different moves, you learn different strategies, you play it, you lose, you learn from it, you get better. Next time you try the new thing, you learn from it. It works, it doesn't work. So that attitude is exactly how I look at weight loss. I don't mind when I make mistakes. I don't mind if my weight goes up a little bit because I'm always learning from it. I don't mind if I eat all the donuts in the box. Okay. Because I have a process that I use to learn from that to grow and evolve. So again, it's more of a mindset of how I'm approaching this as a lifelong game. And if you approach it that way, it changes the whole vibe of it from the weight loss one. Because the weight loss one is it's so strict, and it's like you think you know what you got to do, and you're just so rigid with yourself, and you're just forcing yourself to do something. There's not a lot of learning going on. There's not a lot of fun being had. There's not a lot of improvement being made, to be honest. People don't improve much with their diets at all. Don't you find that odd? I do. I think people that doing Weight Watchers for 30 years, don't you find it odd that you still suck just as much at it? How many times you done keto, paleo, or Atkins and you still suck just equally at it? You never got any better, And so with my stuff, I mean, good Lord, there's a steady improvement and increase of ability. I've been doing this for 30 years, and I will continue to improve and grow and evolve and tweak and optimize. And so I keep getting better and better and better and better and better. The average dieter is exactly in the same spot or worse than when they first started dieting. That should be the first clue that dieting doesn't work. You've gotten no better at it. You're not a dipshit. You're not dumb. You know what I mean? Like if I do play chess for all the times you've been trying to lose weight, you'd be way better at chess. If I showed you how to play a musical instrument and you put all the effort into that you put into dieting, you would have got way better at it. So the thing is, dieting is a closed loop of bullshit. It's not meant to get you better at it to help you lose weight. It's a mind fuck, to be honest. What if addiction is an issue, food addiction, and you did everything to make your mental state ready to lose weight, and then you come back to square one? Well, it's funny you say that. I just had a conversation with someone who actually is really good at piano. And I said, is there any part of you that thinks you might just completely learn how to play the piano or completely forget how to play the piano? She's like, no, of course not. I'll always be able to play. When I play a lot more, I refine things and I get better. But yeah, I could never not know how to play the piano. This is my point to you folks. You have never once, not one time in your life, this is depressing, I know, but never once in all the time you've been trying to lose weight, have you learned how to lose weight. You've been told what you should eat and do, but that's not learning. That you've been the equivalent of like, you want to play the piano. I said, oh, play the piano. Yeah. Just hit the right keys in the right order at the right time. And you got it. You got it. It's okay, cool. I'll do that. Yeah. Well, you didn't learn shit just there. Okay. When you learn something, you don't just forget it. So this idea that you do everything to make your mental state ready to lose weight and then you come back to square one is impossible. That's like saying you practice piano for 2 years every day for 15 minutes and you're worried you're going to completely forget how to play it because you're making a mistake of that's not really learning, and most people do not have any clue how to change their mental state. You've never studied mindset when it comes to weight loss. I already know this because who would you have studied it from? I've been on a 30-year journey personally, to figure this out. And I've been doing this 20 years professionally. And I read all kinds of different stuff in other areas because when it comes to mindset in specifically for weight loss, it's a void. It's a complete void. There's really very, very little. So, I just have to study all these different psychological ideas, you know what I mean? Work with people. I've done almost 6,000 private weight loss sessions. So you keep working with people, refining things, tweaking things, learning, growing, evolve. The same thing here. So again, my coaching, my business is a game that I keep getting better and better at. But yeah, food addiction is real. There's no question about that. I think pretty much we're all addicted to food. Technically we're all addicted to food, obviously, but just in the way we think of food addiction, yeah, the food's extremely addictive, and a lot of people are addicted to it. So no doubt about it. But yeah, that comes down to the mindset piece where you've got to change how you think about food, and it's a process. Just like how do you recover from any addiction? It's a process. It ain't just though. Like that's the thing. Speaking of addiction, we can't do the 80s just say no technique, right? I think we all agree that doesn't work. And diets are just say no to food. It's just this superficial bullshit that sounds good, but it's fucking bullshit. It doesn't work. And it makes me crazy because dieters are always blaming themselves. And I don't blame dieters. I think they just have never learned the deeper aspects of weight mastery. So yeah, you gotta commit to it deeper and really, again, go to work on the mindset piece of it. Let me get to your questions here. Again, TikTok changes every day, and sometimes they just show me the questions, and sometimes they show me like every person that joins and leaves, and it's hard to find the questions. So just give me a second here. So just continue optimizing based on how you feel, mood, etc. It is just keep optimizing. I know, but there's so much wisdom in that idea. So let me just explore on that a little bit. Is that what most people do when they want to lose weight is they want to go day one, they want to completely change everything, right? They're going from not thinking about their eating and weight and exercising at all to day one, they're doing everything perfectly. And so there's this giant jump. You can't optimize on that. It's very overwhelming. And you know this, and you can do it for a little while and then you stop doing it. So what I'm talking about is starting right where you're at now. Don't start a meal plan tomorrow. Okay. What I always suggest to my clients, we follow the worst and first strategy. Focus on your worst eating habit and focus on your first eating of the day if you're really motivated. But focusing on your worst eating habit would be a great place to start. It's not overwhelming. And then you go to work on figuring it out, not just stopping yourself from doing it. That's not figuring it out. In alcoholics terms, they call that like being a dry drunk, when someone who just stops drinking, but they never dealt with any of the underlying issues that led them to be an alcoholic in the first place. Okay. So I think you got to figure out, you have to understand your worst eating habit in detail so that you can come up with a customized strategy to resolve it. And once you have that, it's not about you just forcing yourself not to eat or do it. It becomes you have a full strategy that's relatively easy to do that resolves it. So yeah, it's constantly optimizing and tweaking and building on what's working for you. And if you do that consistently each and every day, it is absolutely shocking where you end up in 3 months, 6 months, a year from now. Don says, listening to Jim over a year, my system has nothing in it that I don't love doing, eating, etc. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. No one ever thinks about this, and you can't think about this. If all you care about is fast weight loss, then you've got to do extreme uncomfortable things to do that. But if you relax a little bit and have some patience, you can very easily systematically transform your mindset, lifestyle, and eating so that it's comfortable and you enjoy doing it, and you start losing weight back to where you want to be. I know you've never considered that because your head's constantly being filled with diet nonsense, and it's hard for you to kind of see any other way, but there is. H-Bomb says, I dropped long fast. That's way better on my lifestyle. That's what I mean. Like you can't do this shit. Again, that's what I was just saying. I was just doing a call and they were saying that they feel a lot of anxiety. They were feeling a lot of anxiety about getting through the afternoon. And I said, stop. As soon as you're feeling a lot of anxiety, see, as a dieter, you expect to feel the anxiety and the deprivation and the frustration, and the boredom, and you think you're just going to fight against that. That's your entire strategy in a nutshell. You're going to force yourself to fight through all the horrible feelings you have on a diet and just follow it. What a fucking stupid plan. I can't, excuse the language, but I can't think of any other way to put it. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. You're a human being who's going to do what you want to do. And if you think you're going to live your life being absolutely miserable so that you can weigh a certain thing, probably not. So the alternative is that you start to honor yourself. You build your plan around who you are. And when there's things that you really don't want to do and you're dreading and you hate doing, you stop doing them. Doesn't that make more sense? So H-Bomb's not doing long fast now, and they're probably way more relaxed and calm because the fast were probably creating all kinds of anxiety. And I get people asking me the fast stuff all the time. And it's, again, if you're stressing out over it, it's not going to work long term. So again, I try and give you a different perspective on this, but it's depressing in one sense because it's like, geez, you just realize that diet mindset is so pervasive that you almost can't even, like, if I say, yeah, you don't have to do long fasts, people are like, well, really? Because we're so conditioned to think we have to do these crazy things to lose weight. And it's not true. You remind me so much of Ram Dass. So I thank you. I appreciate that. That's a high honor for me. I'm a big fan of Ram Dass, huge fan. So that means a lot to me. Thank you. It's an honor. Right. I'm down 13 pounds since 9/1/23. What most would say way too slow. It's off for good though. Exactly. That's the point, right, Don? And that's what people don't understand because you're just looking at how fast you can lose weight. Yeah. Most people would think, oh my God, 13 pounds in 4 months. That sucks, dude. I could lose that in a week. It's like your mindset's crazy. The dieter's mindset is absolutely bonkers. So we always got to be, when you want to lose weight, again, that's job number one, is to really aim at your mindset. You probably have a dieter mindset and it's a prison. It's a mental prison that you got to break free of, so surprising how even that amount of weight loss makes such a big difference. Yeah, absolutely. And especially when you did it in a way that feels like it's for good. What you've never experienced, folks, I almost guarantee you've never experienced losing weight in a calm, relaxed way where you felt a sense of certainty that it was all for good. Because every time you're doing it, just feels like you're doing it with like no foundation under you. Like you're just teetering, like, I don't know how long I can keep this up. Even when you've lost weight. I regularly have conversations with people who have been doing it for 3 months and they're 40 pounds down, approaching their goal weight, and they are freaking out. Cause like, I don't know how long I can keep this up, and then you get people in my program and it's like, they're just calm and relaxed. They're 6 months into it and like, I love what I'm doing. I don't care. I'm not in a rush. I'm down whatever I'm down. It's fine. Oh my God. I don't know. I think about this all the time. I'm like, I don't know how to convey this stuff in a simpler way. I don't know. I try every day to think of clearer ways to explain what I'm doing. And I do struggle with that. I get people in my pride, coach them, I'm coaching them and it's easy to coach. It's hard to explain what I'm doing in the simplest way. I find, I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just cultural hypnosis that it's hard for people to see what I'm saying. I don't know. How do I really solve binge eating? Okay, well, I like that because and you can't see this, folks, but the solve's all in capitals. So they really want to solve binge eating. And again, I'm going to tell you how, but it's before I do, I don't remember. I'm in a sad mood today. I don't know, but it's depressing to me that I know Hermark is been thinking about binge eating for years and years, I bet, and has no idea of how to deal with this. And it's like, I'm going to tell you how, and it's just so obvious to me. And it bums me out that more people don't know, because I know how many people are just suffering with binge eating. And it's never mind the binge eating and what it does to your weight. It's like what it does to you mentally and emotionally. That's the part that really, like, it really just gets me, because I know you're living in that, God, just the unpredictability of when you're going to binge and the fear. Like you flip flop between the fear and then the regret. The fear that you're going to binge eat, and then you do it, and now you regret it. And it's like, you can live your life in one of these two states, between fear and regret. That's what bums me out. So again, and I don't know if you've read anything since I've been talking here. So how do you really solve binge eating? Well, it's not just stop it. It's not just to use your willpower and say, that's it. You know what? I've had it. I'm sick of the binge eating. I'm never going to do it again. You can't do that. It's not going to work. Okay. So you said it, you use solve in all capital letters. So I know you want to solve it. So how would we solve something? How do we find an antidote to binge eating? Well, the first thing you do is understand what's causing it, right? Because most likely what most people do with the binge eating is, again, they live in the fear and the regret, and they live in fear that it's going to happen. And then they do it and they're regretting it and they're so upset that it happened. but the regret and the pain of it happening isn't helping you solve it. We need to understand what leads to the binge eating. So I would suggest to you is to start to look at after you've binge eating, or right now, you can think of the last time you ate and look back 5 minutes before you started binge eating. That's where I'm interested in. That's where all my focus is. Because I know that your binge eating follows a very specific pattern. You're not just randomly binge eating. You're not, even if it feels that way. There's very specific triggers that are firing off the binge eating. And so the two main triggers I want to start noticing or thinking about, I want to go 5 minutes before the binge eating happens. And I want to ask the first question is, how hungry was I? Because the most common pattern I see with dieters, and especially really strict dieters, is they over restrict their food. They over restrict, cut it way down because they want to lose weight quickly. And they get so hungry that once they start eating, they can't control it. So you're never going to be able to defeat that. You can't be starving and not eat forever. It's never going to work. So you have to manage your hunger. But again, my point is, I want you to realize it's very, you run like a computer. You don't just binge eat randomly. Something happens and then you binge eat. We got to figure out what it is that's going on right before the binge eating. So the first thing I want to look at is your hunger level. Right. The second thing I want to look at is emotions. Where are you at emotionally 5 minutes before you binge eat? Are you happy and calm and relaxed and feeling great? Calm, connected to your health, feeling good? Are you stressed, depressed, lonely, sad, pissed off? And I start to notice these two things because these are like 90% of what I see people with the binge eating. These things are at play. I'm not saying there's not other things too, but these are the two big ones. And if you've been going through I don't know, if you've been dealing with binge eating for 5 years and you're like, I don't understand. What's wrong with me? Why do I keep binge eating? And then you look and like, oh yeah, I'm starving myself and then I binge eat. Well, at least now you know why, right? Because if you're trying to stop the binge eating by starving yourself and then getting these real deep emotional states you don't know how to deal with, you're going to stop that with your willpower? No, you're not. No, you're not. Because the worst, well, it's not the worst, but the thing to understand is that you're binge eating for a reason, and it's a positive reason at that. We only do things for positive reasons, folks. We don't do things for negative reasons. We don't do things to make ourselves overweight or miserable or unhealthy. We don't. We do things that serve a positive intention in the moment, then have a negative impact and effect later on, for sure. But it's having a positive impact when you're binge eating. You're doing it for a positive reason. And so if you're starving, you're doing it so you're not starving anymore. That one's obvious. And emotionally, if you're really upset or in a negative place, you could binge eat because it takes your mind off of it. Or you could binge eat because you prefer the shame, the binge shame cycle is better than some emotion that you don't want to deal with. There's a lot of reasons, but again, we got to understand what's triggering it. And there might be different triggers at different times. So you have different binge eating patterns. So you want to kind of figure each one out. You don't have that many of them. You may have 2 or 3, perhaps. So you want to figure out specific antidote solutions to what your patterns are. I hope that helps. I am 57 kilograms and 158 centimeters. I want to lose 7 kilograms, but it literally feels impossible. I hear things, I think unconsciously. I'm not sure what that means. I've lost a bit so far, but I'm afraid I can't keep it up. Yeah. I mean, again, folks, when you feel afraid that you can't keep it up, you got to take a step back because you're just wasting your time now. Fight against it all you want. It's not going to go away. You're afraid you can't keep it up because what you're doing, what you're keeping up is too hard for you, most likely. And it's probably a little combination of it's too hard of a strategy for where you're at. And then the other side is where you're at, your mindset. And so make it easier. I know you're not asking that question because all you care about is losing that weight. But when I hear things that literally feels impossible, I'm afraid and I can't keep it up. These are things that subconsciously speak a lot to me, and you're not in a good spot right now. So when you take a step back and say, wait, what am I looking to accomplish? What do I think I need to do to make this happen? And then come up with a strategy that you feel okay about. I know this might sound, it sounds like common sense. Like it sounds so easy when I say it, and it is, but we just don't think that way naturally. Our brain tends to go to extreme things. So I would love to know what you're doing. And I can't see your name, but what are you doing to drop those 7 kilograms? What's your strategy? And I bet that'll illuminate this conversation a lot more. But let me know, what are you doing to lose the 7 kilograms? and we'll see if we can figure out why it feels so impossible. What's up, Sunrise? Dulcie says, I have an emotional... I just skipped that question. I'm going right back to it, though. I have an emotional attachment to food. It's all that comforts me when I'm lonely, sad, stressed. Tips. Yeah, Dulcie. Oh, great. I love this question. This is what I'm saying. The emotional eating is the same thing as the binge eating, that it's serving a positive purpose, right? So your eating is the best way you know. Your eating is the best strategy you have to feel better when you're lonely, sad, or stressed. Okay. So what would my tip be? Before I tell it to you, what do you think it might be? If right now, if I say to you, and you just said it, eating is the best strategy that you have available to you at the moment to feel better when you feel lonely, sad, or stressed. So what do you think that I might say to you right now? Right? You got you don't have an emotional attachment to food any more than the rest of us. What you have is a lack of strategy. You don't have, if you had a strategy to feel better when you were lonely, sad, or stressed that didn't involve food, you'd be better off. You'd have a better chance of dealing with this. So it's not that you have an emotional attachment to food. You have an emotional attachment to feeling better when you're sad, lonely, and stressed, like all of us. The problem is that you don't have a strategy to feel better that doesn't involve food right now. So I would focus on how, and this would be the question I would ask. First of all, I'd ask what you want to feel and again, they're different, right? So lonely, sad, and stressed are different. So let's start with lonely. When I feel lonely, what would I rather feel? I'd rather feel connected. Okay. What are some ways I can feel connected in my life that don't involve food? And then you sit with that question for a little bit. Maybe the answers will pop up. Maybe you need to reflect on them a little bit. When I'm stressed out, what are some things I can do to feel more relaxed and calm that don't involve food? And meditate on that. Think about that. Because once you have some answers to that, that's a big step towards resolving this. Because right now, what's happening subconsciously is you're getting sad, lonely, and stressed out, and you don't like it. And your subconscious mind says, you want to feel better? Let's just eat some food. That'll make us feel better. I get sad, lonely, and stressed all the time, but I've got other strategies other than food because I know the food's not really helping me. It does in the moment, like it's a temporary, it feels better. But then as soon as I'm done eating, it's back to those feelings, but worse. So I realize that now. And so I have real ways. When I'm lonely, I'll reach out to someone if I want to hang out with them. When I feel sad, sometimes I'll just sit with the sadness. Hopefully, just let it pass through me. When I'm stressed out, that's my big one. So I have a lot of strategies. I meditate a lot. I do a lot of yoga. I calm down. I do hypnosis. I breathe. I have a lot of strategies to deal with the stress that genuinely help me. And so now my subconscious mind, I get stressed and I could eat something, but I'm right on the side. I don't want to eat. Eating's not going to fix this. I need to go to the source of the problem and bring it down. Okay. So I hope that helps you out. Ann Ross. All right. Ann Ross is here. How do I deal with, hold on a second. I saw there, I don't know this person's name, but they were just asking about, they're super afraid of how they're going to lose weight if they're able to keep it up. I just went over my calorie deficit with like 300 calories. Is it worth going to the gym and burning them? Maybe. How do I deal with food pushy family members while I'm trying to eat healthier? I can't do this. You can do it. You don't want to do it. I know that hurts, but I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm going to say you can't do it. What if I said to you, I'll give you $1 million at the end of the month if for the rest of this month you say no to your pushy family members while they're pushing food on you? Would you have trouble? Could you do it then? Right? I got a briefcase for you with $1 million in it. If you can say no to pushy food people in your family for the next month, could you do it? Okay. We got to be very specific with our words. Don't say you can't do something when what you really mean is I don't say no. I haven't been able to say no. I haven't chosen to say no. Only because we have to be very specific with our words, because if it's a can't's different than don't want to. And they require different solutions. Right. So I will tell you, and I'm being a little jokey here, but I am being serious about specific words are really important because your subconscious mind is extremely literal. So this is, I'm not going to get into this. I promise I'm not going to get into this, but I'm a hypnotist, and it's like being a hypnotist. It's like having the keys to the kingdom. of how to run your mind. And it's awesome for me and my clients. And it is just sad to watch other people that just are just stuck with understanding how to run their minds. Because hypnosis to me really is practical psychology. I don't give a shit about psychological theories. Take them and stick them in their nose. I don't give a shit about all the psychological theories out there. I like hypnosis because it's practical. It actually helps me from, I can't say no to my family members when they push food to being able to, yeah, no problem. I just tell them I don't want it. How do you do that? Well, depends what's going on in here. So I'll give you the shorthand of it is get more motivated. Why do you want to do this? Right. I had to deal with that shit. My my family members, they love the hell out of me. They love me. But again, when you make changes to your diet and to your health, you when you get family members aren't necessarily supporting you, a lot of it isn't because they don't want you to do well. It's because it makes them feel bad about themselves. And it just kind of breaks rapport a bit. So there's other reasons why, but you just got to deal with it. We all got our challenge and figure out how can I deal with this? How can I successfully deal with pushy food members? And that's the first little trick. You don't see what I'm saying. We got to shift it from a problem orientation. I can't do it. They're pushing food members. I can't say no, right? That's a problem oriented mindset and it makes you feel powerless. It's weak. And what we want to do is to say, I got pushy food members around. I'm always pushing food. They're not supporting me. And I want to successfully, easily say no to them. No problem. Well, now that just the way I frame the question makes you feel totally different. And it's certainly going to impact what solutions you come up with. So I hope that helps out. So yeah, I just went over my calorie deficit by 300. Is it worth going to the gym and burning the calories? It's fine. I mean, if you want to do that, go ahead. I'm not a big fan of that because then you're going to be extra hungry and you'll probably eat 300 calories tonight or tomorrow. So I get it though. I'll be honest. Like when I was losing weight and I overdid it one place, I would look to make it up as quick as possible. Now my strategy was I would work to cut down a little bit the next time, not necessarily 300 calories down, but I would look to make a reduction in my next eating meal, but that's what I do, but it's up to everyone to kind of figure out what works for them, for sure. Yeah, Holistic says right now food is the only real pleasure in my life. Yeah, so listen, folks, if food's the only real pleasure in your life, you got way bigger problems than your weight. So Holistic, you were just asking about how to make this a self-improvement project, right? So I'm telling you all, if food's the main source of pleasure in your life, that's kind of a sad life. I'm not trying to be a dick here. I'm just trying to be honest with you. We can't accept that. You'd be like, oh, watching TV is the only pleasure I have in my life. Well, it's fine if you're happy with that. But if you're not, okay, this isn't going to be that hard to fix because that's a pretty low level of pleasure. It really is. Don't give me that bullshit. Food is like this much pleasure. It's pleasurable when you're looking forward to it and you're eating it. And the rest of the time, it feels empty. So I'm not saying this to make it feel worse. I'm making it to say, let's look for some real ways to gain some real pleasure in your life. And the question starts with, how can I experience more pleasure in my life that's genuine? I want to feel a life of genuine pleasure. I want to enjoy my food too, but I want to enjoy my food with a foundation of real pleasure under me. What are some things I find pleasurable in my life? Now becomes the self-improvement piece, because your main problem ain't losing weight. It's finding ways to feel more fulfilled and pleasure in your life, having a life you look forward to, having things that you're excited to do. And so that's by the way, though, I'm glad you said that, because now that's how I'd reframe this whole process if it were me. I would be aiming at pleasure, real genuine pleasure. Now that's a much more motivating concept than wanting to lose weight, right? So again, how we frame things dictates everything, and you can frame things in ways that support you. You don't know how to do this probably, but it's very, very powerful. Very, very, very powerful. If you really did have a bag of money to give, that might work for me. Yeah, of course. And I joke, I use these as thought experiments just to reveal that your level of motivation, what you could potentially experience motivationally, is way higher than what you think. A lot of us limit what we're like, oh, I can't say no to pushy. That's not true. It's just that you're not motivated. Now, I know there's not a bag of money waiting for you at the end of it, but there's other ways you can motivate yourself just to that level. I'm motivated at a level as if I'm motivated to eat and live the way I do to maintain my goal weight, as if there was someone waiting at the end of the month with a briefcase of $1 million. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And my clients do this too, because we reframe it. You're never going to get that motivation from just wanting to look better. Tough shit. I said what I said. And you know what I mean? Like, you're so confused because you think you want to lose weight so much. You think about it all day long and you're not losing weight. It's a very confusing place to be. And I'm here to tell you, you're not losing weight because you do not want to lose weight. You wish you'd lose weight. You kind of want to lose weight, but you really want to eat what you eat and live the way you live. And it's that simple. So I just do the money thing just to kind of clarify that. And if you don't believe that, let me know and I'll go through it with you specifically. I'll show you. But I promise you. 5 minutes before I was excited I was going to eat something I like. Yeah, that's great then, Heather, right? So 5 minutes before I binge, I was excited that I was going to eat something I like. So that's great. So if that's how you binge, right? Because how do you feel 5 minutes after you're done binging though? Right? You probably feel like shit. I'm just going to guess. Maybe you feel great then too. I don't know. But there's a good chance that 5 minutes after you feel like shit. So we got to go to the Heather 5 minutes before the binging and remind her, hey, don't forget that 5 minutes after you're done with this, you feel like absolute shit physically, mentally, and emotionally, and you go into a downward spiral for the next 15 hours. So yeah, it seems exciting on the beginning part, but don't forget 5 minutes after you're done binging, you feel like absolute shit. You see what I mean? So, and you may have to reinforce that. You just don't do it one time, but we want to know where we're at before the binge happens. Where are we at? Yeah. We're looking at things incorrectly. We're thinking binging is going to be amazing, but it ain't. Not when you zoom out and look at the full picture. See, there's 3 phases of addictive eating, binge behavior, emotional eating. There's the anticipation, consumption, consequence. We in this culture have been conditioned to focus solely on anticipation and consumption. Every ad for food you've seen in your life, and you've seen tens of millions of them, is about the food coming towards you, the person opening the bag, getting ready to take that first bite, and then eating the first bite. They never show you the last bites, the empty plate, the empty bag, the sitting on the sofa afterwards. And so what your job is, if you want to change your eating, you got to start to pay attention to the consequence. And so I will tell you, one of the most infuriating things for me on social media is when I talk about this and I say, start focusing on the consequence, and they start going, oh, you're the anorexic king. That's the anorexia. It's like, what? That's an eating disorder. You're not enjoying the food. Are we fucking nuts? 82% of the population in America is overweight or obese. Okay. So we got to start paying attention to the consequence. Okay. That doesn't mean that we can't eat good foods, but we got to take the whole thing into account. We can't just make our food decisions based on the anticipation and consumption of the food. What would happen if you did that with drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, shopping sprees, romantic affairs? What if you just made all of your decisions based on how it's going to feel during the act for the first 5 minutes and never paid attention to the consequence? But that's what we do with food in this culture. And so I would suggest it'll be very helpful to start paying attention to what's the consequence 5 minutes after I'm done eating. How do I feel physically, mentally, and emotionally? And as you start to pay attention to that, you're going to naturally, magically start making better food choices. Is it normal to feel sluggish when you start eating regular meals? Yeah, sure. But I mean, when you start eating regular meals, when you change anything, it can have weird impacts on you for any number of reasons. So change equals weirdness. But even when you start eating regular meals, another piece of that puzzle is that when you're eating regular meals, you're now using your brain more, right? Because now so this comes back to, we all have a prefrontal cortex, which is the part of our brain that does the planning, regulating, strategizing, willpower, gets us to do it. So when you diet, when you start eating regular meals, it takes more conscious effort to do it. And that kind of depletes our energy overall. The prefrontal cortex part of your brain uses glucose, just like your muscles use glucose. So when you do mentally taxing things like homework or changing how you eat, then it's going to tire you out, just like as if you ran 2 miles when you never do. So I always want you to point that out, because a lot of people don't know that, and it's helpful to know. Right? Heather says emotionally apathetic on autopilot with life. Okay, Heather, that I appreciate you putting that extra stuff. Yeah, apathetic, right? So there's the key thing. Okay. Thank you for sharing that extra bit. Yeah. You feel apathetic. Like, what's the point? Nothing's going to change. Life kind of sucks. The only high point is at least I can look forward to the food. And so, again, binging on this food is pretty much the highlight of my life. So let's enjoy it. So, again, if binging is the highlight of your life, we want to take a step back and say, what are some other things I could do in my life that would be genuinely more exciting? And again, that's the start of really changing our behavior in a very powerful way. Hello. I never thought about it that way. Yeah. That's what I'm here for, folks, is to help you think about things in a new way. Because you can't, this is the Einstein thing. He goes, you can't fix the problem with the same level of thinking that created the problem. So as a dieter, you're never changing your thinking. You think like a dieter, you think committing to some magical diet someday is going to be the solution, and you'll just continue to think like a dieter and succeed. I don't know how that's possible. So again, what I'm looking to do with you all is I'm looking to change the way you think. Because if I can change the way you think, I know I'm going to change the way that you act. And that's my goal here. A positive reaction with long-term negative consequences. Yep. What foods? I'm not sure, Lima, what you're asking with the foods. Whoops. I'm eating smaller portions of food, but I don't restrict myself. I can't control myself around sugar. Yeah, I know. It's hard for me to get into the eating piece here. I don't really give a lot of eating advice because I feel like that's something you have to figure out. You have to understand yourself and build around you. Sugar is a trigger for a lot of people, no doubt about it. It needs to be managed, I believe, for most people. I'm eating smaller portions of food, but I don't restrict myself. I think there's more there than what you're saying, because the way you're saying it, it's like, well, everything feels great. But then before you're saying, I can't keep it up, I feel like I'm afraid and I don't think I can keep doing this. Well, you can't keep eating smaller portions where you don't feel restricted? What's wrong with that? Or is the sugar the problem? You eat a small portion of sugar and it turns into a big portion of sugar. So again, it's hard for me. Like, that's why with the eating, it's like, I usually need like more detail. Intermittent fasting works for me, but still can binge in my eating window. Yeah, of course. Again, I listen, here's what I've noticed with intermittent fasting. I'm biased. I see people that intermittent fasting doesn't work for. Okay. I just want to mention that first. But what I find for a lot of people that intermittent fasting is they'll do it. And that's their main problem is they stop eating. And then when they eat, they're overeating. Why? How could that be? So it's like, again, Debbie, I'm not busting your chops here, but because I don't know how, but still can binge in my eating window. I don't know how often that's happening. Is it happening so much that you're not losing weight, or is it happening occasionally and you're still losing weight? Okay. Because that's going to determine whether intermittent fasting is actually working for you or not. But we have to be very clear on that. Keto's not working for you if you're not doing it. Intermittent fasting's not working for you if you're binging during your eating window, not losing weight, or can't keep it up. Weight Watchers isn't working for you if you can't get yourself to do it another day and track your calories one more day. Do you understand, folks? We have to look at the full picture. We can't just look at the results we got the 3 weeks we did it. We have to look at, am I able to keep it up and do it? That's the big thing. Serves a purpose until it doesn't. Yeah. Once you cut out bad sugars, after a while, your body will stop paying for it. Yeah, that's very true. But I want to completely cut it out. I want to eat it like the normal healthy person does. I just want to be able to eat it intuitively. You'll never be able to eat it intuitively, I don't think. Okay. Now, that being said, in Program Yourself Thin, we structure our eating. And so a philosophy I'll share with you, doesn't have to be exact numbers here, but we do a 5-day clean eating, 2 days pleasure eating. Now, originally that was 1 day clean eating, 6 days of pleasure eating. So again, it's a philosophy that you can work up to whatever numbers work for you. But the idea is that you have at least a day where you're not really eating any sugar, or, where you cut out all those other sugars that are triggering to you, and maybe build on that. And the whole time, that on the weekend or whenever days you choose for your pleasure days, then you can eat sugar like a normal person. Okay. But you're not going to be able to just have sugar there and be able to self-regulate it. Not from what you've said, right? Because you're losing control of it. So we can't just intuitively, magically, starting tomorrow, you're going to intuitively be able to eat a little bit of sugar and then stop, most likely. So we need to create some boundaries and structures around it, and have some days where you're just going to be intentionally clean, no sugar. But the beauty there is that you're not cutting it out forever. Okay. You're just cutting it out for a couple days and then you can have it again. And that's a much better strategy, in my opinion, to get to where you want to be, where you are eating it more intuitively, because it's intuitive within a structure. And you're eating like a healthy person the way that you ultimately want to eat it. So I hope that helps out thinking about it that way. I understand for me, I have to cut out bad things completely. Um, you know, people say that all the time, but I find that to not be true. I find the second people try to cut things out completely, I think abstinence model with food rarely works. And food and weight stand on its own in terms of addictions because it needs to be a managed addiction. You know, with all the other addictions, you go abstinence. You never drink, you never do drugs again. And that's the whole model's built around never doing those things again. With food, you got to keep eating. And I know you can, I'll never eat sugar again, but good luck. I mean, there's sugar in everything. I'm never going to eat carbs again. That's just stupid, anyways, but you're not going to be able to do it anyhow. So, whatever. But I find the abstinence model with food tends to lead to more stress and then more binging on those things. So, I'm more a believer in kind of managing it, and you can manage it better than you think you can. You've never tried to manage it with real strategies, but you'll argue with me. I know you don't believe that, but I promise you, you have not. Not knowing what I know, anyways. And so you get in this all or nothing mindset, and you just keep flip flopping between it forever, unless you're one of the few that can absolutely cut something out forever. And if that's you, great. Okay. But if it's not you, then don't think there's anything wrong with you. Yep. Mimi says, how can I stop binge eating? Again, we just went through this. The secret is to really understand what triggers the binge eating. Again, two things before 5 minutes before you binge eat, how hungry are you and what emotional state are you in? Notice what those are and work to resolve your binge eating. Don't just stop it. The binge eating is a symptom of a deeper problem. You're binge eating to relieve excessive hunger or to deal with some emotional thing. And until you prevent yourself from getting super starving hungry, or you deal with your emotions genuinely, you're probably never going to stop the binge eating, because the binge eating is your best strategy to, stop the excessive hunger and to deal with the emotional stuff. Paul says, I'm getting ready to eat my salad. Paul, you're awesome. That's so great. I'm going to eat my salad in a few minutes here. Is it normal that it takes a long time? I definitely feel like I'm improving and gaining control, but it's been taking a long time. Yeah, I mean, normal or not normal, that's one thing I wish I could let everyone know, is that weight loss is always unique, and everyone loses weight at different rates and speeds. That's why I hate calorie calculators, because they're just guesstimates and they're not very accurate. So it's not a good thing to base your expectations on those, because it's almost going to guarantee to make you feel frustrated that you're not losing weight quick enough. So again, the secret is not to focus on losing weight. It's to live at your goal weight for the rest of your life. And that kind of helps with the impatience, so, but yeah, it always takes longer than we think, though. I'll tell you that. Carrie says, that is so true. When you really want to lose weight, you find ways to make it happen. Yeah, absolutely, Carrie. Now again, I always say weight loss is really a combination of mindset and strategy, and the motivation is a part of the mindset. So, I give you these examples of $1 million or kidnapping your family as ways to prime motivation. But even with prime motivation, you're not going to be able to just prime motivation yourself through this process forever. Okay. So it's a combination of having a lot of motivation, but it's using that motivation in search of creating strategies that allow you to live at your goal weight on near autopilot. I hope that makes sense. So I'm not sitting here with some iron willpower where I'm constantly being tempted. I'm constantly saying no. I have created a reality for myself where it's really pretty easy. I'm pretty much on an autopilot to live at my goal weight. And so it's both of those things. But yes, the first step, though, is that you're all not motivated. You're not really motivated. Do you think staying off social media is helpful in lessening distractions that trigger binge? Probably. I find, especially if you're a young woman in her teens or 20s, I think social media is probably one of the biggest challenges you have, because you're constantly looking at other people, comparing yourself to them. And I bet you'll find that that's a big trigger. But again, the point is, I don't know for you. Okay. I notice patterns. I see patterns working with so many people, but ultimately it all comes down to you. So it's never like, that's why I'm not sitting here. You rarely hear me tell you what to do. You never hear me. I never tell my clients, like, do this, do this. I rarely do that. So it's really more, to me, it's like, I want to show you processes that allow you to get to the strategies that work for you, because you're a unique person. What triggers you doesn't trigger other people. So I want you to pay attention. So do I think staying off social media would be helpful in lessening distractions that trigger binge? I'm assuming you're asking that because on some level, that would help you. And so I can't answer that for you because I'm not you, but I want you to do. And I feel like you're guaranteed success if you follow this path. Pay attention. Next time you binge, again, look back 5 minutes before it happened. What was going on? Were you scrolling Instagram You see some skinny woman and it triggered you. Who knows? You know what I mean? It could be any number of things, but you got to start to understand them, because one thing I can promise you is there's a pattern to it. And once you start to understand the pattern, then you can start to truly find the solution to it. And again, this way of thinking is like, I'm telling it to you, and I know you're not even getting it because you never hear this, but it's just a different world to live in. The dieting mindset doesn't think about any of this stuff. It just says willpower should conquer all. And even though it's never worked for you, you still believe in it. Dieters all worshiping at the altar of willpower. What's up, John? I've had pizza twice since I started PYT, and each time I've only had 2 slices. Who am I? That's what I mean, folks. This is what I say. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you it because you won't believe me. But yeah, my clients and myself, it's crazy because you get this all. I can't eat pizza. I eat pizza. I'll eat all the pizza. It doesn't have to be that way. Once you understand mindset strategies and understand this on a deeper level, you can have a piece of pizza or two and then be fine. It requires a mindset shift. That's funny, John. I love that. Yeah. Who am I? I love that feeling of who am I in the beginning of it, Chrissy Truth Teller says, this is so true. Thank you, Chrissy. That means a lot coming from a truth teller. So I appreciate you saying that. I hate how normalized addiction is in the US, even food addiction. Agreed. I was watching the show yesterday and they were talking about alcohol, and how it's a drug. We know that, like, yeah, I know, but it's like, we don't think of it that way intuitively. And we certainly don't think of food addiction as food addiction. And I get a lot of bullshit. I just posted a video on addiction. And I'm curious. I posted it right before I got on here. I'm curious to see how that went. I know it could potentially be triggering. That's not necessarily my goal, but yeah, it's true. Normalized addiction in the US is absolutely normalized because we're a hyper consumer culture, and that requires addiction to all sorts of things. And so, yeah, true. When I'm hungry, though, nothing else matters. Yeah, Chrissy. Well, there you go. Telling the truth again. When we get really hungry, nothing else matters, folks. When I get really hungry, I don't give a shit. Just give me food. And not only that, but once I get really hungry, I'll eat a bunch of food and I'm still not satisfied. I'm not full. So what I do to deal with that is I manage my hunger. I'm eating within an hour of waking up, and program yourself. Then we use the hunger scale. And so I'm looking to get to myself to a comfortable level within an hour of waking up. And I maintain that comfortable level of hunger all day long. Dieters are always trying to be as hungry as possible because you associate the hungrier you are, the faster the weight loss is going to happen. And so you don't realize it, but you want to be hungry because you think that's better. It ain't, because it leads to just like what you said, nothing else matters. John, you're eating a salad too? Crazy. Neely says, as soon as I'm told I can't ever eat something, I hyperfixate on wanting those foods. Exactly, Neely. That's a psychological thing. The way your subconscious mind does not understand negatives. If I tell you, don't think about something, don't think about a banana, what you thinking about? Right. So I tell you, okay, that's it. No more sugar after tomorrow. No more sugar. And by the way, you don't think sugar. You think, holy shit, no more ice cream. Oh God, no more of my cookies when I get home at night and sit and watch my show. No more candy bar when I'm watching my favorite, TikTok videos, and then you're like, oh, what's the point? What's the point of living if I can't enjoy myself? So you just re-rationalize it. So yeah, I find, again, there's 8 billion people on the planet. So there's a wide, spectrum of behavior, but I have found that most people, when they approach the all or nothing approach to the food, it ends up not working. It ends up having the opposite effect. Sandra says, what do you think of paleo diet? I think that, the paleo diet is goofy. I think it's goofy. I think the paleo diet, keto diet, Atkins diet are all goofy. Carnivore diet, did I say that? Yeah. All goofy, in my opinion. I think they're weird. I think they're short-term attempts to try and lose weight quickly. And I think that most people that have done those diets swear by them for some reason, even though they're not currently doing them and can't get themselves to stick with it. Is the vast majority. You love keto, you love paleo, you're thriving on it, then I'm not talking to you. Okay. I'm talking about the majority of people. And most people I see are just married to their keto plan that they can't follow. And I can't figure that out for the life of me. The vast majority of keto people I know are overweight. So I don't know how to make sense of it. By the way, paleo, They've come up with studies now that paleo man was eating 130 grams of fiber a day. So stick that in your pipe and smoke it. How does that square with your paleo diet philosophy? User 569, thank you for answering. You are welcome. You're welcome. That was a good question. Yeah, Don says, stop doing diets, figure out your own system. Yeah, I agree with Don. Again, listen, I'm kind of being a jerk here, but those diets, I think, have a grain of truth of them in 2024 America, because the number one source of calories for us is baked goods. So yeah, any diet that revolves around cutting carbs down is probably going to help a person lose weight. But you do not need to cut carbs out completely to lose weight. And I think you'll find that it's long term. It's a very dubious plan to follow, I think. So, and on top of that, paleo, like, the big funny part, again, I could talk about this all day, but I don't want to. But when people say paleo man, it's like, well, which paleo man are you talking about? Living where? Which location? Which specific paleo person are you referring to? Because they probably ate different things depending on where they lived. Do you think my mom telling me to stop feeling sorry for myself is logical for weight loss? Yeah, Sandra says I'm not a dieter, just asking. Yep, I get that. That's fair enough too, because we're so much shit put in our head we can't figure out which way is up. Oh, Crete, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. Crete says this, loved keto, but I could not sustain it. As an older woman, I think I lost muscle mass too. But again, like in what you're saying, Crete, is like so common. This is what I'm trying to say. Like if you loved it, why'd you stop doing it? I think you should upgrade. I think people should update their perception of these diets. I made a video about this last week. Stop romanticizing failed diets. It's confusing you. You probably did lose muscle mass, but again, in fairness, we do lose some muscle mass when we lose weight anyways, but yeah, there is that aspect to it, which would get you confused. You wouldn't ever think that, because the primary people you see promoting keto, protein, carnivore, other things are big bodybuilders, muscle people. You're welcome, Holistic. Which reminds me, Holistic, if you get out of here, anyone, make sure you get on my list. Go to my bio, click the link, get the hypnosis session I give. It's free. It's the new Thin Me. It's a kickstart session. It's about 10 minutes, right? Really powerful. If you've never tried hypnosis or you never tried my hypnosis, give it a shot. And then I made a video for you too, 3 steps to master your weight. I'd strongly suggest you watch it. Do you think my mom telling me to stop feeling sorry for myself is logical for weight loss? I'm not sure exactly what that means, but I know I always go back and forth with this. I know, like, people telling us to stop feeling sorry for ourselves. Like, I get it on one hand. I agree with it. Like, stop feeling sorry for yourself and figure it out. Like, I agree with that part. But then on the other hand, I think sometimes people need to experience a little bit of empathy and be heard. So, you know what I mean? I kind of see both sides of it. But I don't know how exactly that's relating to your weight loss, unless she's saying, hey, stop feeling sorry for yourself and just start losing weight. And then if she's saying that, then that's the classic dieting thing, which is horseshit, because people are doing that all the time. I would say that the vast majority of people, weight loss wise, are under the willpower spell, that they think the solution is just more willpower, but it's not willpower. It's not. People look at me and they go, oh, you just got a lot of willpower. That's not it. I can tell you that, because there's other areas of my life I struggle to stop myself doing things, so it's not a willpower thing. It's a strategy thing and a mindset thing, so yeah, it's got to be more to it than just, I'm just going to do it now, Yeah, Crete says, I came to hate it. Okay. So there we go, though. I'm joking with you, but it's like, I always want to finish up on that part, because it's like, oh, I loved keto, but I couldn't sustain it. You couldn't sustain it because you hated it. You know what I mean, though? You got to update how you're thinking of it. Because if you keep the magical, amazing diet in the back of your mind as the amazing solution you just can't get yourself to do, you forget the part that, oh, I actually hated it. So it's like, I hated keto. I lost a lot of weight on it, but I hated it. I felt like shit. It was gross. I missed my fruit. Again, any diet, folks, where you're encouraged not to eat fruit and vegetables, I'm not gonna tell you what to eat, but I would definitely take a step back and be like, who exactly am I? What am I doing here? Because you'd have to point out the culture to me, right? Because we want to know, like, is it a good idea to do this? Or not? Beyond just weight loss. But is there any culture ever that's lived in ketosis? Me don't think so, because it was a diet created for epileptics, And so, anyways, it's funny. Hey, Connie, what's up? Yes, was hoping for another long live today since my pesky meeting prevented my daily gym dose. Connie's awesome. Just joined the program. It was great getting to see you yesterday. And I got a little gift for you, Connie, too. I'm going to be sending you, so keep an eye on your email. Louise says, I'm utterly addicted to sugar. No matter how long I go on a good diet, I always fall back eventually. I'm not disputing that, Louise, but I would say what's making it worse for you. And I know this is ironic because, again, you're probably thinking in the abstinence model as if sugar was like cocaine. And if you get off it completely, then you'll be done with it. But food's different than drugs, substances, alcohol, tobacco. It just is. And so, again, I'm not telling you what to do, but I have found that rarely does the abstinence model work for people with sugar. I've seen no track record of that working. And what I have seen work when people even didn't think it was going to work is that they start learning how to manage the sugar strategically. So, especially you, because clearly, and I don't know if everyone can see this, but she said, I'm utterly addicted. It's all capitals. I'm utterly addicted to sugar, no matter how long I go on a good diet. So that is saying to me that I'm utterly addicted to it, because no matter how long I go on a good diet is code for I completely cut sugar out, I always fall back eventually. And so what's happening is I would suggest is you're always approaching sugar with an all or nothing mindset. And you have this belief that I either have to give it up absolutely completely or I eat all of it. And I can't stop myself because I'm utterly addicted. And so I would suggest that you could have more control over it than you currently have with this all or nothing approach, because most of the time you're nothing with the sugar. Okay. So I always like to say that people always like, oh, I got an all or nothing mindset. Well, technically you got a nothing or all mindset, because most of the time you're nothing with the sugar. You're just eating the sugar as normal. And then sometimes you get really pissed about it. And then you go into this all thing where you completely cut it out for a little while. And then you go back to your nothing mode. Right. And so I would suggest what leads to much better results is when you become all or something and you work to systematically begin to reduce your sugar consumption. And you've never tried that. I know you've never tried it. I know it and I know it. You've done this all or nothing thing and you know that doesn't work for you, but you're still wedded to that idea, right? You're still married to the idea that you need to cut it out completely if you're going to succeed. But again, I don't believe that. I think you could reduce your sugar relatively easily by 30, 40% easily, 50, 70% somewhat easily. That's what I think. Yes, that's what she's saying. Sometimes I just prefer a helping hand instead of a just lose the weight mindset, because it's a very emotional process. Yeah, I so get that. I that's a very triggering thing to me, because the whole weight loss thing, the whole weight thing in our culture really makes me insane. For a lot of reasons, but that's the biggest one. I hate to just do it. Just do it. Come on, just fucking do it. If you really want to, you just do it. And I know I talk about motivation sometimes, but I do that in context to prove a point. No one's going to be motivated at a level 10 starting tomorrow forever. So you need strategy. You got to work through things. You got to understand yourself. You have to, like you said, the emotional piece. We need to recognize the emotional piece and, kind of untangle that. There's just a lot more to it. And it makes us feel even worse when dipshits in your mom, I'm calling her a dipshit in this context. I'm sure she's not a dipshit overall, but even people that love us and mean a lot to us in life, when they tell us, come on, just do it. If you really want to, just stop complaining, stop feeling sorry for yourself. I hate that shit. That's like saying that to a drug addict. And, there's more to it. And most people don't understand that. And it's a bummer. So I'm sorry you got to deal with that, but you got to know in your heart that there's more to it. And maybe what I would suggest is stop complaining to her. Save that conversation for someone else and don't talk about that with her, because that's hard. Opinion on cheat days. My opinion on cheat days is that you shouldn't call them cheat days. If you really want to get the full impact of the word, maybe call them adultery days. That might feel even worse. I'm joking. But cheat days, we framed it as this okay thing now, but deep down, you want to be a cheater? Do you have any positive associations with cheating? Probably not. So in my world, we call them pleasure days. And there's a lot of reasons for this because the goal is to get as much pleasure possible out of those meals, out of those days. Now I know what you're thinking. Uh, oh, Jim, if I have a cheat day, if I have a pleasure day, I'm going to go crazy. I couldn't have two pleasure days. Oh God, Jim, I'd ruin everything. Yeah, that's because you don't know how to eat for pleasure. You don't, because you deep down think eating for pleasure is eating everything. That ain't pleasure. The most pleasure you can possibly get out of food is to eat your favorite foods at your goal weight. That's the most pleasure you can get out of food, not to eat it all the time. Right. So I like pleasure days. And I find personally that having my 2 pleasure days a week is the absolute foundation for my eating structure that everything's built on. Without those 2 days being even right now, I was thinking about this just today. I was walking out. I'm having a day where I got a little bit increased hungries going on. And been thinking about other foods today, but it's so much easier for me to say, it's just whatever, just get through today. I got Fridays coming right up. So I'm looking forward to Friday and Saturday eating or Saturday and Sunday eating. And it calms me down. I'm not saying I can never eat those foods I like ever again. So I don't like cheat days are framed totally different than what I'm talking about. I don't like the word. I definitely don't like what they represent. And I like pleasure days and they mean a lot more. So without me going into a whole thing on it, I will, that's what I'll leave it there. What is willpower? Now that's a great question. That's a great question. And one that more people should be asking because your intuitive sense of willpower is probably way wrong. Way wrong. Okay. Most people intuitively think of willpower as if it's this non-physical force, like a soul or a spirit. It's not. It's a prefrontal cortex process. Your prefrontal cortex is in charge of your willpower. And metaphorically, it's not a muscle, but you should think of your willpower like a muscle because this prefrontal cortex requires a lot of glucose. And so what happens is when you use willpower on things, and they've done studies on this, okay? When you use willpower to do math, to get yourself to eat better today, to anything, literally anything that you willpower or focus on, you're burning through that glucose and you're burning through your prefrontal cortex's energy. And at some point, you're going to burn through it, and now you're going to not have it. And this explains the diets for a lot of people. You got the willpower until you don't have the willpower. And this is because you're over relying on willpower. So I think willpower is very important, but I think you should be using your willpower in service of creating better strategies and habits that run on autopilot. I don't think relying on your willpower to change all of your behaviors from this point forward is ever going to work for you. So that's a real quick one on that. Connie likes gifts. Good. Oh, what's up, Kathleen? Hi, Jim. Great to see you. Yeah, great seeing you. Haven't seen you in a little while. Cheat days are a diet mindset. Schedule your pleasure days, and before you know it, you don't cheat. There you go, Don. Dude said it better than I did. I should have just read that. Mindset is everything for sure. Absolutely, right? What's up, Erica? I used to think I was addicted to sugar. Now I have 1 to 2 treats a week with no obsessive thoughts. Thank you for writing that, Erica. That's what I mean. You know, your addiction to sugar. Again, I'm not. Some people are like literally addicted to sugar, like out of control with it. Okay, so again, there's a lot of people in the world. So I'm not speaking for everyone, but I have found the vast majority of people that thought they were addicted to food in general, but especially the sugar and carbs, aren't. They just didn't know how to deal with them in a moderated way, and the abstinence is not the answer. So I don't know. Amy says, I'm feeling a bit fed up today. I stayed the same weight and I'm eating a lot better than I ever have. Yeah, I get that. Dealing with the frustration is one of the biggest challenges. I'm eating a lot better than I ever have. I stayed the same weight. Give me some time frames on that. How long have you been at the same weight since you've been eating better? How long have you been eating better and how long have you been at the same weight? Give me a little more detail. Eric says it can be done. Hey, listen to that, everyone. And she says, Amy says, I calorie count, so I've not been overeating. Okay, so you've been calorie counting, eating better than I ever have, but the weight's staying the same. So how long have you been calorie counting, Amy? Louise says, thank you. You're right. To be honest, I need to learn moderation better. There you go. And doesn't that, it feels better. That's what, again, you want to build your process around calm. Like if you feel like you're anxious about cutting sugar out completely, you're freaking out about it, you're already lost. Okay. Just calm down, relax. We don't have to do this all at once. We don't have to completely cut sugar out. Let's just cut 10% of it out. And then we get comfortable with that. Let's cut another 10% out. What a weird idea when it comes to weight loss, right? Kathleen says, one fear I had was getting back on the scale. What's helping me now is weighing in every morning. Yeah. Weighing in every morning. I always say that. The cruelest thing you can do is weigh yourself once a week, in my opinion. I think that's just one of the meanest things you could do to yourself. Casey says, how often should you weigh yourself? I think you should weigh yourself every day. Now, I sometimes should hesitate to say that because there's a lot of mindset behind that. I believe you can change how you feel about things. So I step on the scale. When I was losing weight, I was stepping on the scale every day, but I was also working on my mindset at the same time. So I was utilizing that scale in a way that was really supporting me. And so that was a piece of it too. Yep. John says, PYT is not a quick fix, but it is the fix. I will deprogram your diet mind and give you peace. Yeah, John, I always talk about this. Someone would say, John, you get like a celebrity here because someone joined the program like, oh, I know all about John. I feel like I know him. But John's a fascinating story, and where his story leads to is going to be amazing. Who knows? He may be helping you all lose weight at some point. But yeah, deprogramming, I think, is the right way. You're deprogramming yourselves from a diet mindset and programming in a thin and healthy mindset. That's probably the simplest explanation of programming yourself thin and what it does. So yeah, I love that explanation. Connie says, my cheat day caused an 8-pound weight gain, so I'm going to learn about pleasure days with PYT. Yeah, that's exciting. That's exciting, Connie. Yeah, we'll talk about that again. But the cheat day has so much subconscious negativity loaded into it. That's why I joke about calling it an adultery day. I'm joking, but it's just to really prove the point that what do you want to be? You want to have practice your adultery days? You want to be an adulterer? Well, being a cheater is not much better subconsciously. And it sets it up all as this weird, it just wraps in all this weird feeling. It doesn't feel good. Pleasure days feel good. We're aiming right at the pleasure because that's your biggest fear. You know that, right? You know that your biggest fear with weight is that you don't know how to eat for pleasure and you're scared to shit. You know how to restrict, but even when you're restricting, your biggest fear is what am I going to do when I start eating normal? That's why the 5-2 model, 5 days of clean eating, 2 days of pleasure eating. The two most important things are learning how to eat for pleasure. Like you don't know how to eat for pleasure. I know how to eat for pleasure. Like I could take I could eat whatever I want. I'm not worried I'm going to go crazy. I practice eating for pleasure every week and I'm pretty good at it. I enjoy what I'm eating. Sometimes I go overboard with it a little bit, but I'm not worried. I don't have this weird fear in myself that I always have to keep my thumb down on my appetite and my eating. So I'm so worried if I let go of it, I'm just going to eat everything in sight. And you are constantly living with that anxiety and fear in you. Do you think that might be contributing to your overeating? So, eating for pleasure is just such I could talk about that for hours. There's so much psychology in the eating structure piece of the program, of Program Yourself Thin, that it's just a work of art. I am like the Leonardo da Vinci of weight mastery. People told me I should stop being so humble, so I'm just going all the way in the other direction. So funny. When losing weight, do you become fuller quicker? It depends. So much of being fuller is mindset. So much of it. So when you're losing weight to become fuller quicker, it depends. I mean, your stomach shrinks and is relative. So if you start getting used to eating smaller portions, then that can kind of lead to what you're talking about. But it's not the losing weight that makes you fuller quicker. It's more the mindset and strategies you're using to feel fuller quicker, if that makes sense. That's a weirdly worded question. Let me just talk about that just one more second. You don't become fuller quicker. You can feel full. Does that make sense? Feeling full is a relative thing. Like it's not like it's not an absolute thing. It's not like you eat this much food and you feel full. There's a lot of factors. Are you paying attention? Because if you're eating, like if you got a man-sized bag of smart food popcorn that you love, or you got a 5-gallon jug of ice cream you're eating while you're watching your favorite show, right? That's going to affect how full you feel and when you notice it. If you eat 100 miles an hour, that's going to affect how quickly you feel full. If you eat processed foods versus natural foods. That's going to impact how full you feel. You know what I mean? So there's a lot more to that. So it's a more loaded question, a more layered question than it may seem to you. So yeah. Amy says, I've been losing weight, but this week I've stayed the same. That's what I meant. Sorry. I've been losing weight. Amy, so I love this story. We're staying with this. Amy says, I've been eating better. I've been counting calories, eating better than I ever have. And I'm getting frustrated because I'm not losing weight. I stayed the same this week. So again, my question to you, Amy, specifically is, how long have you been counting calories, eating better than you ever have? How many weeks have you been losing weight? And I know this is the first week where you stayed the same. So how many weeks has that been going on? Let me know. Yeah, Don says I've not experienced it. I found slowing down and planned meals is satisfying. Yeah. Again, Don, you're like my if Don could just translate for me, I could cut these lives down by probably an hour. Kathleen says, you're a huge help. Thank you for doing these live streams. You're welcome, Kathleen. I appreciate it. That's why I do this, helping you all out. Yeah, John's shared real-time experience is already helping us all. Yeah, John's got a great story. It's very compelling in my opinion. It can be a healthier pleasure with what you eat. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Preach, Jim, you're the real MVP. Thank you, Connie. I'm glad I found this page. Most doctors just shove your weight in your face until you lose it without giving you logical ways to be healthier. Yeah. So I don't know this person's name, but they got a cool strawberry with a thing. What works for one person may not work for the next. Now that's the saying of the whole live stream right here. Okay. And it's not just doctors. It's literally 99% of the weight loss industry just shove your weight in your face and tell you to lose it. And they just tell you what to do. Just eat less. Come on. Take it serious. You got to lose the weight. Yeah, a doctor, this is how you know we're in a crazy world. When you go to the doctors and you're 80 pounds, 150 pounds overweight, and they go, you really ought to lose some weight. No fucking shit, doc. No shit. Like that, you got anything else for me? Well, they got medicine for you now, but anything else? Anything? Eat healthier and exercise? Oh my God. It just goes to show you, no one is ever showing you how to get yourself to do the things that cause you to lose weight. Yeah, we all know we should eat less and move more. Okay, great. That 82% of the population is overweight. Every one of those persons knows they should eat less and move more. Okay. What no one ever talks about in the weight loss is how do you get yourself to do it? And that's what I'm doing every day for you guys here, attempting is to help you figure out what's going to work for you. Because you hit the nail on the head, Strawberry, that what may work for one person may not work for the next. So again, in my program, we have the weight mastery blueprints, and you fill them out because you customize them to you. I can't tell you what to eat or what to think or what to live. You're your own person. You've got to figure out what works for you. And when you figure out and customize what you're going to do based around who you are as a person and your lifestyle and your preferences, you set yourself up for long-term success. Everything you've done up until now to lose weight, you've done some drastic shit based on what someone's told you to do. It had nothing to do with who you are, your lifestyle, what you like or don't. It's just them telling you what to do. And it's like you're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. It's not working, but you're getting mad at yourself. If anything, take from me is get mad at the plan. They're horse shit. They're just, it's a tactic. It's one thing. Just do this. Oh, is that all it takes? You know? So yeah, there's deeper things you need to figure out. Okay. Amy says 6 weeks now. Thanks, Jim. Okay. So thank you. 6 weeks of counting calories, eating better than you have. You've been losing weight for 5 weeks, and 1 week you hit a plateau and you're freaking out. You're really frustrated. Okay. This goes back to my core philosophy that you need to, it's not about the weight loss. It's about living at your goal weight. You need to have more patience with this because 6 weeks doesn't mean shit. And I know it feels like a lot to you. I get it, but 6 weeks is nothing. It's just not. The diet industry it's a lot for the dieting. So I'm proud of you because that's 5.5 weeks longer than the average person makes it. So I'm proud of you in that sense. But you need to start thinking about, is this a plan I can live with forever? That what I'm doing to lose the weight so far, is this something that I can anticipate doing forever? Because if not, you're just wasting your time. And so where you go from here is you're hitting a little tiny mini plateau, but you want to use your plateau as an opportunity to practice your maintenance, because the goal is to hit the ultimate plateau, which is at your goal weight and stay there forever. Okay. And in order to do that, you're going to need to figure out a way that really works for you. And so what you do is when you hit a plateau, keep doing what you're doing, but optimize what you've been doing. And specifically, make whatever you've been doing easier and more enjoyable for you. And so look at what you've been doing and really focus. How can I make this easier? How can I make this more enjoyable so I can stick with it? Because you might stay doing what you're doing and be at a plateau for another 2 or 3 weeks. You don't know. Sometimes your body just needs to catch up and it'll start losing the weight. And sometimes you got to start cutting some more calories out. But you don't know yet which it is. And so if you start optimizing what you've been doing, making it easier, making it more enjoyable, maybe you go 3 more weeks and you don't lose any weight. And that's frustrating. I get that. But now you've used those 3 weeks to get better at what you're doing. And more importantly, now because you've stabilized what you're doing, you can look at what you're doing and strategically say, where would be the easiest place for me now to cut some more calories out? Okay. So again, but it's all built for the long-term success, not just, I gotta lose some weight. Because right now you're probably fighting against wanting to cut even more calories down. And that's not the answer. They just say eat a clean diet and move more. Like, okay, and what else? Yeah, exactly. Right. There's no mindset piece. That's why I was telling you, please, Strawberry, go to my bio, click the link, get the hypnosis session, and watch the video I made for you. It's really important because it goes into that missing piece that you have, right? People do what they know. You're all doing the best you can. You're all doing the best you can with what you know. Your problem isn't that you don't have willpower, haven't tapped into it yet or used it yet. Your problem is that you literally don't know how to keep yourself on the track. You don't know how to shift your mindset. You don't know how to create the right lifestyle, and you don't know how to eat in a way that works for you. So you got to figure that out. But go watch that training because I go through all that stuff. What's up, Pizzo? How's it going? Connie, making peace with my timeline was so huge for me versus all the quick. Yeah. We've got to, the time frame is, to me, it's always the ground zero of your struggles is your time frame that you're living within. And you've been conditioned. Again, you have to understand the diet industry has conditioned you to think in very, very short-term time frames. And that short-term time frame is what leads to all your frustration and ultimately causes you to quit and give up. You've got to extend that. Because it says I've been plateaued for 3 months. It's aggravating. So close to my goal weight. Yeah. So as I was saying, 3 months is a long time to be plateauing if you're not at your goal weight. All right. So, but now that I hear you're close to your goal weight, when we get within 5 or 10 pounds of our goal weight, it's the longest 5 or 10 pounds. And it's for a variety of reasons. The biggest one of all, in my opinion, is the identity piece. I was talking a little about this the other couple of days, but basically the idea is that if you've been struggling with weight for a long time, as much as you hate the weight, you have to agree you're familiar and comfortable with it. And it's very weird. Like if you woke up tomorrow at your goal weight in a way that was sustainable and comfortable and easy for you, you got to realize that's a profound shift in who you are. Like, what are you going to think about all day? What are you going to talk to people about? What are you going to focus on? It's weird. Nature abhors a vacuum and your mind abhors a vacuum. And the idea of getting to your goal weight may seem a little bit like a vacuum, like who am I going to be? Unless you've been at your goal weight somewhat recently. But if it's new territory for you, do not underestimate how scary that is to your subconscious mind. Most people will prefer a known hell to an unknown heaven. So we got to take that into account and make that part of the process of closing that final gap to get to your goal weight. Amy says, thank you very much. I really appreciate you answering my questions. You talk facts. Thank you. Yes, I do try to talk facts. What's up, Kelly? Think I'll start walking on the treadmill while I listen to you or jump on my trampoline. Great idea, Kelly. That's a great idea. That's what Astrid does. Oh, she's still here. And the mantra that the time will pass anyway. Why not working on my best self? Exactly, Connie. That's exactly right. Yeah. Habit stacking. Yep. Great strategy. No quitting here. This is my life now. Super job, Pizzo. So make sure that you're, instead of thinking about losing that weight, think of yourself at your goal weight. Really, as much as you can, put yourself into that mindset, imagining yourself already there, and notice how that feels and start to operate out of that personality, especially that you're so close. All right. But that's awesome. I feel like growing up lower class with little to no healthy food options affects people majorly in the long run. I agree 1,000% with that. Absolutely. Because we definitely, we definitely, the first years of our lives are extremely formative and set a lot of foundational wiring that we live the rest of our lives. So I couldn't agree with that more, That being said, I will tell you, you can also change that, which that's part of the reprogramming, is learning about food, learning about it, understanding nutrition, learning about different food options. Because yeah, if you grow up in an environment with processed food everywhere, food deserts, things like that, it's definitely a challenge, no doubt about it. But it's a challenge that can be overcome with education and learning, right? But I think you're right in recognizing that. Yeah. Um, it's so hard to see people now only give their children I hear you. Yeah. It's so hard to see people now only give children no nutritional food. I agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, it's depressing. It's hard. It's a bummer. You're motivating me so hard. Bless you, brother. Thank you. I'm glad. That's what I'm here for. So again, folks, get this, go to my bio, click the link, get the hypnosis session, watch the video I made you, and read the emails I send you. Okay. They're all really helpful. Why are you helping for free? Just genuinely asking. Um, I do this every day. I do this Monday through Friday for free. No one gives anything away more for free than I do. I truly believe that. Yes, I also have a program. I coach people. I have a program. But I do this for free because it's a mission for me. My mission is to help as many people as possible live at their goal weight. This is a mission that I think probably technically started when I was 9, because that's when my father died of a heart attack. He was 54, obese, and knew his heart was in trouble, was not able to change his behavior in a way that may have potentially saved him. So for me, weight is life and death. And the reason I do this every day is because I think of it that way. I do this because I want you to live as long as you can. I think about the people you know in your life that love you and care for you, that would be devastated if you died because of something that you could have prevented. And I always say that's the worst part. My father I thought the world of him. I just thought he was the greatest guy on the planet. Like, he was awesome as a hard worker, great provider, funny, just everything wonderful. And the worst part of him dying the way he did was the 10, 15 years of absolute fury and anger I felt towards him, because I blamed him for it. And that's like the saddest part when I reflect back on it. So I think differently of it now, but I always think like, so I'm doing this in some weird way, like to some weird way to save my father, but it's like, I want to save you if you're a father or a mother or whoever, whatever you are in your life. I think about you and the people in your life that depend on you or rely on you or just love you and want you to be there. And I want you to be there as long as you can for them. And the other side is that I think what you're putting in your mouth and how you're living is probably going to have the biggest impact on how long you live and your quality of life while you're here. So I don't just want you to be alive for a long time for them. I want you to be engaged with them. I want you to be the best version of you possible for them in your life. So this is why I do it, and I do it every day, because it's like, we live in a world where I don't think people want to hurt you. I don't think that, but I also don't think that they're going to stop doing what they're doing because they are hurting you. Just like the cigarette companies. I don't think they want to kill people, but I don't think they're going to stop selling cigarettes because they are killing people. And I think that's where we're at with the food industry and the weight loss industry. And I think I know people, because I've done this for 20 years professionally. And it's like, everyone I've worked with is a hardworking, intelligent person who takes action. I don't think you're struggling to lose weight because you're lazy or don't care. I know you care. I know you think about it 24 hours a day. And I know the only thing stopping you from getting absolutely incredible results that you dream of is learning how to genuinely do it. You don't know how. The diets have not given you the full strategy, and it's torturing you inside and out. And so that's why I do this, So I appreciate asking that question, because I like to get to share that. Brother, when I reach my goal weight, I will surely donate to you in some way. I appreciate you. Yeah, just come here. Let me know what's happening. I love hearing that stuff. I lost almost 30 pounds just using Jim's 3 tools before joining the program just yesterday. Yeah, kind of. That's so awesome. I'm so happy you're in the program. Yeah, I'm going to just take a little screenshot of that. Right? I got stacked these up. I got to start like putting these. I have like hundreds at this point of like screenshots of testimonials of people. So yeah, I appreciate you guys all appreciating this. It really, that's why I do it. Your dad would be so proud of you helping others. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. And I do believe that. Yeah, you join the program. You can go. I'd suggest this. I have 2 versions of the program. I'm letting you know this, that you can go to programyourselfthin.com and join. But what I would suggest is first learn about it. And I would suggest the easiest way to do that is to go to my bio, click the link, get the hypnosis session I give you, and then watch the video I made for you. It's about 25 minutes, but you're going to learn a real lot there. And then if it's something that seems appealing to you, I talk about the program and I give you a deal on it. So the coaching version to work with me personally is $1,000. If you use that link, it's $2,000 at the program yourself did site. And then the program itself is $300 without the coaching. Okay. So those are two options you have if you want to work with me. Okay. What's up, Wasabi? My favorite name on TikTok. Do you have like private sessions for hypnosis? How much is the price? I don't really do. I mean, to be honest, I don't sound like this turn off for some people, but I'm in a point where my private to work with me privately is 25 grand. I do private sessions for like 2,500, which I do them sometimes, and they're worth it for people that can pay that relatively easily. But it's just a supply and demand thing. I've been doing private sessions. Last year, I started doing my group program, which the reason I did that is because I've been doing private sessions for years before that, which I love doing, but I can't do my mission. I can't work with enough people to really impact as many as I want. So, last year I set up the group coaching program, which again, I know $1,000 is still an investment for sure, but again, everything's relative. And so it's a way better investment, 25 grand. So to be able to work with me twice a week, because we have Zoom calls every Tuesday and Thursday where you're literally working with me on a Zoom call. And I'm focusing on you for 20 minutes, where I keep the group small so I can really spend time and get to know you and really directly coach you and guide you. So that's an investment that I think it's the best value in the world. And I was just saying this yesterday. One thing that's kind of dawning on me, it's kind of like it's starting to happen now where I'm kind of coming up against it is, I'm going to have to like stick with that $2,000 price just because I can't have too many people in it. So that's just the price control I use to keep people in, but whatever. So right now that's the deal of the century, in my opinion, but anyways, Connie says, my kids will forever be grateful to you for saving my life. Connie, that's a big thing to think. Right. And so Connie, that's the way you want to frame this, right? We want to give it more meaning. This isn't about looking better so you can wear a bathing suit. This is about being alive for your kids, right? That imbues it with a lot more meaning, my dad'd be so proud. Yeah. I believe he would. He was that guy anyways, but honoring his legacy for sure. I love your content. You motivate me so much. Appreciate that, Ari. Thank you so much for saying that. Is your hypnosis only for people above 18? Yes. You know what I mean? But, I don't know if there's an age thing on it. So yeah, it's only for people above age 18. Wasabi, still going strong. I'm surprised that I'm not afraid or panicking. It feels easy. There you go. That's what I'm trying to say. When you see a lot of times when you want to lose weight, subconsciously, you're expecting and assuming it's going to be really hard, so you're pre-programmed to really expect that the weight loss is going to be this white knuckle, miserable affair. And, so much of that it's complete bullshit. Of course you can, I always joke. So just metaphorically, it's like, imagine like you want to learn the piano and you're like, I want to learn it fast. I want to learn it really fast, or I don't want to learn it. And so it's like, okay, I'm going to practice 10 hours a day. That's going to be fast, right? And you practice your 10 hours a day and you wake up the next day and your fingers are all cramped and you hate the piano and you can't get yourself to practice. But if that's how you thought you had to learn the piano, you'd never learn it. But that's how you approach weight loss. It's just a crock of shit because I thought I was going to make it live without saying this, but here I go. The reason you're struggling so much and you think it's so hard is because the only way you know about losing weight is from diets. And all the diets that you're referencing to lose weight are all owned by big food companies. The biggest trick and conspiracy ever, maybe. Weight Watchers was owned by Heinz. Jenny Craig was owned by Nestle. The Atkins Food Products is owned by the same company that owns Carvel, Cinnabon, and Auntie Anne's Pretzels. Slim Fast is owned by the same company that owns Ben & Jerry's Ice Cream. These companies aren't buying these diets and putting them out to the world because they work, because all they care about is their profits. So again, the diets are getting you, they're the flip side of getting you to overeat shitty foods that make people a lot of profits. So yeah, when you realize there's another way, it's not only more effective, it's just easier too. So that's really great. How do I avoid cheat meals from turning into cheat days where I eat every food I want? Yeah, Gabriella, that's a great question. So that's why I would say like my 5-2 model, we have 5 days of clean eating, 2 days of pleasure eating. But then another way to look at it is 2 days of pleasure eating, 5 days of clean eating. So in that model, every week you're practicing getting back on track. And that's a skill that you develop. And it's one that you've never worked on. You do your all or nothing thing, and then maybe you have a cheat day and then you just get off track. You don't know how to get back on track. Program Yourself then is built around the idea that you're starting where you're at and we're going to systematically improve what you're doing, which means you need a process where you improve what you're doing. And that is an idea that is completely foreign to you. You have no idea what I'm even talking about. All you have is completely changing everything all at once and being perfect. And then when you can't do that, you go back to doing nothing. So program yourself down really revolves around the program yourself then technique, which is a 1-2 minute hypnosis technique I show you use on yourself to program your own subconscious mind. And it's really 2 techniques. It's the redo and rehearsal technique. But we really build around the redo technique so that you learn and grow and evolve from your mistakes and you get better from them. The same way you get better at everything else in your life. So that's how we deal with that. We don't see a cheat around your partner. It's pleasure days for sure. Right. Hi, Jim. Nice to find your videos. They're all life-changing for me. That's great, Barbie. I'm really happy to hear that. That's awesome. That's why I put them out there. And it's been fun. I don't know. I put some videos out lately and it's just blowing up. So that's always fun too. So I know there's a lot of new people in my world. So that's exciting. And that makes it more fun, as well. So I'm really glad. So Barbie, if you haven't yet, anyone else that hasn't, make sure you go to my bio, click that link, get the free hypnosis session I give you. It's free. It's called The New Thin Me. It's a weight loss kickstart session. If you've never experienced hypnosis, absolutely check it out. And if you have never experienced my hypnosis, check it out. I'm one of the highest paid hypnotists on the planet. Okay. It's free. Go check it out. 10 minutes. It'll change the way that you eat for the next few days, at least just listening to it once. And then the other thing is to watch the video I send you. That is really, really powerful. That kind of goes through the whole system and it'll just give you more insight to layers of weight mastery that you've never thought about. And that's going to make it more helpful for you. All right. So, all right, everyone, thank you so much. I got to get out of here. Have a super duper day. And remember, you can see me on TikTok. Follow me if you're not following me. Make sure you get the hypnosis session that I talk about in my bio. Listen to the podcast. The podcast is Program Yourself. Then I do on every weekday, Monday through Friday. You can find it on any of the podcast platforms. And I'm all over social media as Jim Katsoulis and or Program Yourself Then. So thanks so much, guys. Have a super day. See you later, Kelly. You're welcome. And we'll talk soon. Bye.